Welcome guys to a brand new video, and I'm still here. I know it's been a moment since I made a video. So today I'm going to be covering WGU. So for me, I'm about to start the graduation process. So essentially I'm done. I started my degree for my bachelor's in Cybersecurity and Information Assurance at WGU in about July of 2022. So it took me a few years, which makes sense, right, for your bachelor's. And overall, I would say I had a very positive perspective of this degree. Now, just to get it out of the way, would I recommend someone who is brand new to IT, like they don't know anything or they know very little, to go into this degree? Personally, no. I would share and recommend that you go with the information technology bachelor's degree that WGU offers. Of course, they have, right, like their computer science degree. They have their networking based degree, as well as I think a few different cloud based degrees as well that you can get. But again, regarding if you don't know where you want to go, want to do IT and you got to learn from the ground up, I really think that just the information technology degree is going to be the best fit for you. The reason why I explain this is for someone like me, I have a perfectionist personality. So even with me about to completely be done with school, right, and have that pass, I'm already looking to the next thing. I'll have a light celebration, but to me, it's like, all right, what's the next thing to do to get started on? Let's stay busy. So I really have that perfectionist personality. So I would say if you're someone like me who had a little bit of knowledge as I went through the degree, and that's what you want to do, you want to say you're a help desk intern, right? And you really want to challenge yourself, then I think the cybersecurity degree would fit you. And that's kind of how I was set up when I went through this degree. If I had to do it all over again and in the means of really just saving time, I would have switched and just done the information technology degree. But nonetheless, I worked hard as all of you do. WGU, it's not right for it being an online school. Some on Reddit say, oh, this school's cheap or it's easy. And by no means is it a school that just has simple classes and is not challenging. I guarantee you, if you do this cybersecurity degree, you're going to have some certain classes or stopping points where you got to take a breath. You really have to study and you really got to get focused. Highly recommend this degree. Again, if you're brand new to IT, I would recommend doing the information technology degree for your bachelor's. And then maybe going into your master's later on if you just want to have that as I obtained my master's, because you really don't need a master's in IT. But if you want to maybe do that route, that's a possibility. Again, I don't know who you are. You know yourself best. But I'm just giving some options out there. And I would really center and recommend those who are maybe you're a cybersecurity analyst and you want to get your bachelor's. This is something that would make more sense. Just because there are courses in this degree that aren't in the information technology degree that I would definitely say are more advanced, given that it's a little bit more of a specialization being cybersecurity. And with that too, I just want to go over some of my favorite courses from the degree. I have it here, so I'm kind of reading from my notes. The Digital Forensics and Cybersecurity, so C840. That took me about 3 days to perform. Really had to do a big project on it, and they wanted a certain amount of slides for that project. I kid you not, I did like triple the amount of work that was necessary for this project. I spent extra hours on it because I know forensics at an entry level, so it was very exciting, and I just went all out in the project. The next class I really enjoyed that a lot of people seem to not like and struggle with is networks, C480. That's essentially getting the CompTIA Network Plus. You probably see it hanging up behind me. I like this course because, again, when I started my degree plan, like when I was studying the A+, I was taking apart computers and upgrading RAM. I was learning and doing the things at school, like together in unison, which was really nice. So with networking, I was actually assisting and mainly shadowing at the time the network specialist as I was learning and studying for the Network Plus. So this was a course that I really liked. I really enjoyed. The third class that I really had a lot of fun with was the penetration testing and vulnerability analysis D332. This class is another CompTIA based. Out of all the subjects, I really enjoy red team based hacking, right? So I like the ethical hacking side to it. So I grew up with years of YouTube videos, articles, just reading on very entry level pen test related subjects. And so when I took this course, that course took me about 2 days or so to study. And then I passed it luckily on my first try. I felt good going into it. And I think out of any course, out of the whole degree plan, that one I felt the most confident in. Now to go into some of the hardest classes, and again, I hope this doesn't scare anyone. We're all different. I tend to find my favorite courses were some of the most disliked courses from seeing people on Reddit and kind of their story. The hardest courses for me was Introduction to Cryptography. So that's C839. This took about 4 weeks or so for me to pass. I kind of thought it would be a lot easier going into it, but then I realized just how much different types of way there is to encrypt something and just knowing how things operate. And again, this class is just an introduction, so don't be scared. I know there's way more intensive courses in other colleges that you have to know like the mathematical algorithm for each encryption. This is not the case. This is simply, hey, do you know the presence of this cryptography? What it does, how it works, and then can you look at these questions and assess, okay, which one should be used here? It's essentially the class. And again, that took me about 4 weeks, so it threw me kind of for a loop, but of course I got through it. Another class I struggled with was Data Management Foundation, so D426. This one and the next class just felt like a life sentence to me. So this class specifically is really just terminology with SQL. So just the vocabulary, just knowing the words and the definitions. And again, I don't come from a background of programming. So going into this class, I'm like, oh, what are these keywords? What is a keyword? What's a primary key? And a lot of things, it was brand new to me. And I thought the wording was a little tricky in the course, at least for me. And so it just took a few months to go through. And again, this is my perspective. You might take these courses and get them done in a few days to a few weeks. It just took me a little longer for some of these courses. Now the next class, kind of the brother of this one, was Data Management Applications, D427. This class took me 2 months. So you can imagine, I spent 3 months, right? SQL vocabulary. Now I'm jumping into this next class, which is now SQL code, where they're going to actually quiz you on writing out SQL code. Now, SQL is very basic. And out of almost all the classes I'm grateful for, besides the networking class, I would probably give a giant kudos to this class for helping me in the now. At the time, I didn't use SQL at all. I'm like, how do you install this thing? How do you make a database? And now in my job, I would say a small portion of my job, but consistently, I actually use SQL in real time. And so this course actually helped me get those foundations down, where when I started using SQL, I'm like, hey, joins, I know how to do that. Again, at a very simple level, and I'm still learning now, but I just knew from this course a few things about SQL and kind of how to navigate that. And again, yeah, that took 2 months. So altogether, I was almost 6 months in just with those 2 courses. Now, the last course, I'm not even going to say the time frame because the time frame is insane, but Introduction into Python, D335. I struggled immensely with this course. I don't know why things were just not clicking. I understood having like variables, functions, the purpose of loops, and I kind of got some basics, but I don't know why just being on the proctored exam and just having to go through, to me, it felt like a lot of line of code for an exam, for an introduction, but it just took me a while. But again, nonetheless, I got through these courses, and personally, out of all the courses in the cybersecurity degree, I personally think the 2 most important that are going to help you, and specifically, especially in cybersecurity, is going to be the networking classes. So again, like the Network Plus, which again is very basic. If you have your Network Plus or your CCNA, that's the very fundamentals, the very beginner into networking, but it's critical especially going to cybersecurity, SOC analysis. You're looking at logs. You can understand things that others who don't have a network, strong knowledge base will just struggle with. And then the second class, ironically, I would say is programming. So the intro into Python. It teaches you, again, the basics of programming, right? This is how you write your code out, how you leave comments to understand and to have others to look at your code where it looks consistent and clean. Again, knowing functions, loops, understanding variables, understanding if-then statements. And so those two courses were definitely the bread and butter, I think, to cybersecurity. And overall, I would say this degree is helpful because, one, right, when you go job hunting, no matter if you're in a job now or you're looking for a job currently, when you go into the market, a lot of at least cybersecurity roles, they're going to say something, and this is what I've seen in my experience where I live in California. They'll say either you hold 5 or plus years of experience, or we at least want you to have a few years of IT experience, and a degree will substitute out for the extra years needed. So it kind of puts you, right, if you're, say, in a use case of 100 people applying and only 30 of you have a bachelor's degree and it's IT related, that's going to put you up in regards, right, into the higher possibility of being hired. I watch a lot of tech YouTubers, and some of them always say you do not need a degree, and I'm just going to say it straight out. You're lying. A lot of people who say you don't need no degree, I would say have a degree. I will say on that note, though, too, the degree can be anything if it's just getting into IT. I know a lot of people where I work, because I still work in the normal sector. I don't work in cybersecurity yet. But I know a lot of people who I work with who do have degrees. I mean, they have their degrees in like arts, business, a lot of business-based degrees. Nothing IT related, which is totally fine. And again, that meets a requirement of that degree. It's only when you go for very unique niche jobs, or again, cybersecurity jobs, where they're going to say, hey, you at least need a computer science degree or something IT related. That's where it gets a little more specific, which makes sense. So the degrees are just going to help you out. And of course, kind of if you're trying to do the route that I am of having IT work experience, an IT degree, as well as being, certified in multitude of different IT related things, that's kind of, to me, the powerhouse of when you go for a job, this looks really good, right? And of course, you need your portfolio, projects, all the other extra things. So that's kind of my mindset on the degree. Again, it's not 100% needed entirely, but realistically, it's needed, if that gives any clarity. And I have seen some people who got into cybersecurity with no degrees. There's one person who I saw with not even an associate's, and he's young. He's like early 20s, young kid, and he worked and studied, and he did so much analysis that he actually got an intro-level job with cybersecurity, which was amazing, just super motivating. So jumping from that and going into the next thing, I want to talk about the resources for WGU. I know I mentioned this in my previous WGU overview video, but I feel like it's really important just to bring up again in case you didn't know. Some good resources is WGU Udemy. So Udemy, right? Paid courses to learn anything. If you're a WGU student, or let's say you just started and enrolled, it normally takes you, I think, about 1 to 2 weeks, I believe, to get this, but you'll have your own free Udemy course where you can choose any subject and learn it, right? That's obviously great. Let's say you start your Network Plus exam and you got to study for that. Going to Udemy, looking up some courses, it's going to be very helpful for notes and trying to pass that class. Another source is Pluralsight. Same thing as Udemy, essentially, right? Different platform. Videos, you can learn how to do things. That as well is completely free, right? The school is letting you save hundreds of dollars, so to speak, by using those resources. The library. The library is huge. I would say out of anything besides getting a degree, the second thing I'm grateful for being at WGU or university is their library. Think about anything you want to study, obviously if it's in the means of education and schooling, and it will be there. And if there's a book that you see, you can actually send it to WGU for review, and they might put that book in. Ironically, when I was studying for the intro to Python, there was a book that's really popular that I wanted. So I went ahead and went on Amazon. I bought it right away, right? Just to have the digital version. And that same week, I went on Reddit and someone said, hey, I told WGU about this book and now it's free in their library. And I looked it up and I'm like, oh wow, I just bought this book, but it's free now on WGU. So the library is a powerhouse of a lot of different resources. Books that would cost hundreds of dollars are free for you to read and go through. So you may as well, right, utilize the resources. Another thing that I didn't really utilize as much, but I'm sure is really good, is a tutoring. They offer, I think they use a terminology coaching, but they offer, let's say you're in one of those programming courses and you're getting really stuck on like a certain topic. Let's say like, oh, I can't understand looping and I'm doing the Python course. You can actually set up a meeting where you can meet with someone who's, so to speak, like a coach, and then they'll help work you through that and kind of teach you in a way to help you get started and to get through that course. Those are good resources. Some other things I want to mention, of course, is utilizing your program mentor. A lot of people are scared, right? They have, if you don't know, when you start WGU, you're going to have a program mentor who coaches you, and they're going to have basically check-ins. Now, the check-ins aren't to say, oh, I hope you're doing everything all right and looking over your shoulder. They're really there to be a laid-back, relaxed coach to go, hey, what do you need? Are you getting stuck on something? You know, why? What can I do to help you? And they try to tell you, right, the best way or pathway maybe to do things. They're very helpful too in changing courses out. So some courses, right, maybe coming up for the next semester, I would ask, sometimes they would have to get approval, and I would say, hey, can I maybe take this course, right, for this next semester? And then they would allow that, and they would change it. The program mentor is going to be the key to opening the gate and for you to finishing your degree, so that's huge. Some other things, maybe I should have mentioned this at the beginning, and I apologize for being all over the place, but before you enroll, you can take credits like Sophia Learning and get credits into your degree. It depends how much courses you already have, right? Let's say you have your associates done, right, course, and then you want to transfer those courses. Well, there's a certain point they're going to stop you, right? The school can't just say, give me all the courses you have done and we'll transfer them, and then you have 99% of all your courses done. It doesn't work like that. There's a point where they have to say, okay, cut off. I forget what that margin is. Using Sophia Learning, like maybe some of those classes I mentioned earlier, like the data management course, or maybe like the intro into Python, seeing and checking with WGU if you can take that as a credit and then apply it before you fully accept and start WGU. Again, I make that huge. It has to be before you start at WGU to transfer and have those Sophia courses. But definitely check that out. Again, right, you can see their syllabus on the WGU website and kind of take a look at the courses as a whole. That's pretty much it. It was a lot to cover. Kind of as a next video, I might be doing a Pentest Plus kind of review to help you guys if you're taking that course, because I really enjoyed the exam. And I still have my notes too that I took at the time. Maybe I can kind of go over that to help you guys study for that course. Some resources from me. I made a new website, and so a part of that website, I'm making blogs related to IT. So I have one out already. It's an intro into Python, and it teaches you just very lightly how to download, how to get started with things all related to Python. I'm going to be making more things broken into two subjects, right? So basically your general sector IT, and then I'm going to make subjects regarding into cybersecurity. And again, I always like to say I'm still in the regular sector for IT, so I'm not claiming to be anyone that I'm not, but I do have at least a good base knowledge of some beginner things related to cybersecurity. So I'll put the link to the resource for that in the description. I also have a Discord too. If you have any questions, if you want to give me a call and ask about the degree, or you have some concerns, or maybe you're stuck on a class, feel free to reach out to me on my Discord and I can try to assist you or give you some tips and tricks, and I'd be happy to help. That's it, and thank you everyone for watching this video.